Hi everyone, welcome to AAA Sunday, the show where we review AAA games. I'm Nathan, and today we're going to look at Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn is set 1,000 years in the future, where nature has taken back the land and all that remains of our civilization is in ruins, as well as giant machines that have overtaken the world, while the remaining humans have regressed into tribes and hunters. There is wildlife in the game, however. This only consists of fish, boars, turkeys, rabbits, geese, and foxes. Yeah, that's all that you find. Don't know what happened with the rest. You play as Aloy, an outcast and a hunter. She is set on a quest to find out her true origin, as well as discover the origins of the machines. Throughout your journey, you will come across 26 different types of machines, ranging from watchers, who are the lookouts for the herds, to the stormbirds, which are the demons of the sky. Combat in Horizon Zero Dawn is fast-paced despite its stealth element. You have an option to take on a situation to how you see fit. However, with the machines based in herds, you're kind of forced into a stealth approach, which can be slow for the people who want to play with guns blazing and not giving a damn about stealth whatsoever. It's not really the best. Aloy's main weapon of choice is her bow, which is definitely the fundamental weapon within the game. However, she does have a spear, which does get better over time if you upgrade it and you put time into it. But at the beginning of the game, it's very slow and takes a while and does hardly any damage. With the use of different arrow types, it really changes up the gameplay for the bow and keeps it interesting and fluid with it. For example, with it moving from fire to corruption to precision, just to name a few of the arrows that you might get. You do get an array of other weapons throughout the game. One of these includes the Tripcaster, which you get right at the beginning of the game. However, this can be a bit fiddly, where you have to launch one at the ground, then look up to dodge the machine, and then point another one in another place to set up a tripwire. And when it's done really well, it's really effective. This can be good for tactical players. So people who go in guns blazing, you're better off just using your bow and just hoping for the best and the slingshot and bombs. But for tactical players, it's really good. You set up an area where you keep a stealth element to it, and you put down tripwires for the monster's attack, and then you can lure them over to you and watch them just get blown up or set on fire or shock, depending on which ones you've got. There is a select wheel in Horizon Zero Dawn, a bit like the quick select in the Ratchet and Clank games, which you can craft from. Now, this is really good in the heat of battle, instead of going into one menu and then to another menu, and then you click on something just to craft something and go back into the battle, which can be very disjointed between each one. However, now that you can craft in the select wheel, you can select the type of arrow type that you're using or whatever other weapon you're using of choice, just to craft a couple of ammos and then get right back into the battle. The fluidity between the select wheel and you playing as Aloy is really nice. You can still control Aloy while you're in the select wheel, so you can move her and roll and still dodge out of the time, and there's still time to dodge attacks while the time is slowed down. A bit like in Fallout 4 when you use the VAT, and it just gives it a nice comparison between the two. However, if you do want to go into craft menus, the option is there. But this is mainly for modding out your weapons and your armor and add new perks to them, and that's what it's more for. But you can still do crafting in ammo if you want to pause in and have more time to tactically think about what weapon you want to use within that battle, against what machines you are, depending on the weaknesses and traits. Sometimes you have to fight with the camera as well as the machine. Now, what I mean by this is that sometimes the scenery or a machine can get in the way of the camera, and it can block your view, and it's very minor, but it's very irritating when you're in a fight and then you've got a scenery blocking you as you're trying to aim your bow and you're trying to shoot this machine in its weak spot, and all you can see is grass. And the worst thing is when you dodge to go out of an attack and then you hit a rock, and then obviously you can't move and this machine's coming at you, and then you're like, well, now what? Because you're just stuck against this rock, and I can't tell you how many times I've died throughout that reason. The other issue with the camera is when Aloy enters a settlement, it zooms right in on her, and I know some people would probably wouldn't mind this, but for me personally, it sort of felt like a glitch at first, because I thought, oh god, my camera's messed up and it's never going to zoom out again. and it felt very weird because you're so used to it being zoomed out and then it zooms straight in behind her. From an aesthetic point of view, this is really good because it makes everything really big. The buildings look massive compared to if it was zoomed out, and it gives the size and the depth to the settlements a bit more. However, from a gameplay point of view, it makes things really hard to navigate. Also, you can't really look around very much either with the whole scenery that is really going on, which is beautiful. So it's a shame on that point of view, but however, it does help with the size of the settlement. Discovery in Horizon Zero Dawn feels a little lackluster compared to the other games in its genre, as everything is marked out on the map. This includes the collectibles being the metal vessels, the metal flowers, and Banuk statue figures.
Metal flowers. Huh. Well, why not?
The only thing that isn't marked out is the data points, which are scattered throughout, and some of them are mainly on the main quests when you go into ruins, which I won't go into much because of spoilers. More background to the lore of the game, so they're not really worth getting unless you're doing a completionist run or you want to know more about the world Horizon Zero Dawn is set in. There is a multitude of side quests in Horizon Zero Dawn. Unfortunately, they become a bit samey, where they're going into fetch quests. This is a shame compared to the story, which do really have a lot of originality compared to the fetch quests, where you go see one person, go find this thing, you go and find it, hand it back to them. Or there's the other one where you go and kill a machine, or you collect some money, and it's just... There is a couple of gems within the side quests, there's some really good ones in there, so it's not like worth not doing them. Like one of them is going finding the tool necks. These things are impressive, the size of them is beautiful, and the way they just interact with the world is great, where you have to climb up it and then you get on top. These work like the eagle points in Assassin's Creed, where if you go on top, it discovers the land around you, it finds out the herds and where they are. Also, the best part is when you rappel down from it, because the animation for that point is great. The use of the BioWare wheel is implemented in Horizon Zero Dawn. For the people who don't know what that means, it basically is stating that that wheel is in the Mass Effect games, where you can choose a certain option for what you want your character to say. This is really good in Horizon Zero Dawn because it gives the player the option to find out the lore if they wish to, or just to go with the story and just not care about it, which will probably be more on your second playthrough for many players. There are moments in the game in which you are given a 3-option choice, which one being compassion, intellect, or aggressive, depending on how you think Aloy will react to situations she's been put in. Now, these are more common in the main storylines than the side quests. Not that they don't exist in the side quests, they're just not as common and frequent. Fine, but the only unfortunality behind this function is that it doesn't have a massive effect on the overall game. So there's not really like multiple choice endings, which sort of takes away from the replay value unless you really loved the game and you wanted to do it again. I found while playing Horizon Zero Dawn, it was a very easy game, which is not a bad thing, but I had it on like the hardest difficulty at one point just to see the differences between easy and very hard, and there wasn't a lot other than the monsters being a bit more reactive to where you were, and also they were doing more damage to you. But other than this, there wasn't massive effect of change where you felt, oh my god, I'm gonna die. It felt like they just had a lot of health, and then you just dodge a couple of times, shoot, and just keep going until their health just dwindled. The only time I felt like I was in danger was actually when I was overwhelmed by a multitude of machines, or when I was fighting against the Stormbird or Thunderjaw. However, because the Thunderjaw and the Stormbird are marked out on your map of where they are, they're easily avoidable. So you can only go against them if you really want to. The presentation on Horizon Zero Dawn is definitely some of the best I've seen on PS4 to this date. The graphics are impeccable. The way that the grass just sways in the wind and the forests are really dense to the really harsh deserts, it's astounding on what they've done with the aesthetics within this game, and it's beautiful, especially when you go into the settlements and you see the cities and the size of it. The highlight is definitely the machines in the game, which was the main selling point, and I can understand why. Brilliantly done, where they all interact with one another. So if you come across a herd and there's a watcher and it spots you, it will notify the other machines and they'll run off and it's just greatly done. The only problem I found in the presentation is the facial animations. Sometimes the lines were really energetic and they were brilliantly delivered, but the facial animation just didn't fit the line, and it was like watching a really badly dubbed foreign film. It didn't work between the two. Aloy's facial animation is definitely the highlight compared, as well as the main story NPCs, but the side quest ones just seem to be lacking, and I understand the game's massive. The best part is when you get the override ability, you can override a Sawtooth or a Thunderjaw and they will attack each other, and that's probably one of the best scenes you'll see in Horizon Zero Dawn. Seeing these giant machines just having at it while you're hiding in a bush. The greatest thing ever. The HUD, which is all the bits around it, your health bar, your experience bar, compass bit, and then you got your ammo down here, and then your toggle buttons. Yes, that may look cluttered if you got it always on, which I prefer doing, but it's very clear on where things are marked and what does what. Now, the whole HUD of it is completely customizable, which I think most people are grateful for, because I know it was a big complaint from players where people were sort of worrying about it. You do have a dynamic option, which means it'll only come up when you need it to, for people who want to choose a different style of play. Horizon Zero Dawn is definitely a step up in the open world action RPG genre, with the way that it just develops you in with its originality storyline, despite its minor flaws with the fetch quests and sometimes the camera and the facial expressions. These are very minor compared to the overall impact of the game. My recommendation would be buy it if you have a PS4, and for those who don't, go get a PS4 and buy the game. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. What were your thoughts on Horizon? Tell me in the comments below and we'll discuss them. And I hope you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, till the next time.